Okay, I started the recording, and uh, we were just saying that we were working on the bounty system code on the stand-up version and doing Git pushes back to the repository there, so that more than one person is finally working on the bounty code proper. And let's see, Valentine is on, and Joshi, Evie. Great stuff happening with the GraphQL there.
Ooh, I would love to talk about that today.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a tour of it. I don't who's the master of that?
Evie is the master, and
Awesome.
we saw some issues yesterday. We're looking at the problem. GraphQL, the SQLize that connects to the SQL database, the MySQL to GraphQL.
Mm-hmm.
It makes all table names as plurals. So if you have issue, it makes the table name issues.
Oh, weird, really?
Yeah. So that was screwing up everything.
Does it? I'm curious. Does it? What if you have words that get pluralized in weird ways? Like what if I have one called bacterium? Does it know to make it bacteria, or does it just add s? Or
good question. Yeah, we'll have to try that.
Okay.
I think it'll make bacteriums.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
But we lost. Oh,
we lost eBay Soft.
We lost the EV.
I think that's IB Soft.
Ivy. Okay.
IB Soft.
I think he told me as the pronunciation of the name was EB, but well, we can. I always screw up pronunciations.
We'll have to ask him.
But hopefully, I guess his connection went bad here.
So, well, okay. One thing that I also would maybe be interested in looking at is some of that RChain API code that Dan and sort of but mostly Dan had started working on.
Which one?
There's a repository in my GitHub called RChain API, which was when Dan had started working on porting the DBR, like the reward system, over to Rolang. He had written this code that we decided maybe would be more generally applicable for connecting dApps to the RChain. And so we had talked about that code a little bit. I don't know. I think David had done a lot of work in that too. So I didn't know if anyone knew anything else about that.
We successfully run the test program on robot.net. So we have the API running there.
This is you have the RChain DBR running on.
No. On RChain, on robot.net, we have the project. Let me just show you what we have here. And so we have the RChain API repository pulled here.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and there is a test directory.
Okay.
And if we do a node test test.js. Okay.
Oh, great. Okay.
We get the results. So we can play with the API here. It's pretty cool.
What node did that run against? The one that's running locally here?
Yes.
That's cool. Why didn't we have to give it like a port or anything? It just has defaults?
Yeah.
It needs to know where the node's gRPC interface is, right?
Yes. And we just set it up here.
August 2nd.
I think it's in the README. Just relook at the repository.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So it's I remember the README says something about, like, for example, using the robot test node, right?
Yeah. So we could go. That's one thing we could go over just to finish up on the GraphQL. Show this. We have GraphQL at robot.net. Now we have a little bit of a problem here. This is supposed to be run by PM2. Okay, and so it's running as index, I believe. The server is a bounty system. Index is this one. It just took a name from the name of the file we run.
Oh, yeah. We got to figure out how to give them better names.
Yeah, we have to start them with better names.
What is PM2? Is that a web server?
It's the process manager too. It's a wrapper for Node, really.
Oh.
Okay. And basically, it restarts the apps if they die.
Oh, cool.
I'm not sure what else it does. I thought it interfaced with the Nginx server, but it doesn't seem to really do much there. If we index, okay, we get all the information about it. So we see that, we see exactly what it is that's running.
Yeah, great.
And the log information and
Wonderful.
so that's sort of useful. So you can see what's running on, everything. You get the basic information. It shows the repository information.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice.
That's cool. So what does this, like, can we actually use it? Does it do anything through the website?
This is the way we run things. We do PM2 start, PM2 stop. It's used instead of the node command.
Okay.
Unless you're just like I was just running a test program.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and and this is it running. We can try something out with that. I just wanted to show you the configuration here, and I don't know if you can help, but under the NGX server, we added the GraphQL here, and it's enabled. And as far as we understand, it should be working on at GraphQL robot.net on port 80, which is return 404.
I'm guessing it means that if you go to that website, it's just going to give you a 404 not found error.
Okay, what's this up here? Okay, well, let's take this out. Okay, what we did is we copied a file from another server and changed all the names. And we changed it to listen on port 4000, which is where GraphQL is running on localhost.
Okay.
So this should give us, you know, access to it, the application directly without going to port 4000. And let me just comment this out. I don't know why we.
It looks like you're saying if they're asking for GraphQL.robot.net, then you're going to give them a 301 redirect, and then otherwise.
Right.
I actually really don't know how to read that, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, let's just try this and see if it works. See if it's fixed.
Cool.
That's what we had to do, and I got through where it was.
Valentine, are you sorting change on your microphone?
I muted Valentine.
All right, thank you.
It sounds like he's eating crackers.
Okay, so this was on port 4000. It was working. I'm going to take off the port 4000 and see if this is fixed now. Oh, the only thing I didn't do was I didn't update servers. It said I had to apply change.
Oh, okay.
So
So Webmin is something you installed on your server that just gives you this like nice interface you're using now?
correct.
Okay, cool.
And it actually is a pretty decent code editor. I mean, it does highlighting.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it doesn't do anything else, but I mean, it's as good as BI. I mean, it's a little bit, yeah, it gives us an interface to the MySQL database. It's very nice. So we can browse our tables and stuff, see what's there. So we can go through all the different tables and look at them. Anyway, they just changed the style on here and confused me. When we come in to it, we get information about performance, tells us if we have package updates available. We get little reminders here about doing stuff.
Okay.
It's very nice, and the thing I love about Webmin is it doesn't interfere. It's a dashboard that doesn't interfere with what you do at the command line.
Yeah, that is nice.
Okay, so many of the dashboards, it's like they take over the machine.
Yeah, right. It's now the only way you're allowed to do your admin stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Good. I like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, where was I? I was here.
You were showing me about the graph. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to take off the 4000 and see if this works. And I still get a 404 not found.
Okay. Let's do a little Googling and see if we can figure out how to edit that Nginx config file.
Thing that I wonder about is we have things like the RChain bounty at robot.net. And this works HTTPS.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, does it work HTTP? It redirects to HTTPS.
Okay, that's probably a good thing.
Okay, did I try this
Mm.
GraphQL at HTTPS?
Huh.
Found. Not found in any
At
case.
least our 404 was encrypted that time.
Yeah, right. And our certificate is good. Okay,
Yeah.
we got the certificate yesterday. IBS office back. Hi, we were just trying to fix the configuration here to get this to work with.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
It still works on 4000. Joshi asked for a little demo. I don't know if you want to give him a demo when we start off. Okay, if you don't see the choices, you can hit Control Space. But we can do queries, mutations, descriptions, and a fragment, which I don't know what it is, or parentheses. We can, I guess, we have to learn GraphQL. But let's say we're doing.
Wait, Jim, are we allowed to do mutations in this table?
No.
EB hasn't put in any mutations yet, but we can certainly put them in.
Okay. Let me say something, Jim. Yeah. So I talked to DCKC and he said the GraphQL server isn't supposed to contain any mutations.
He's not going to.
Yeah, he said the server shouldn't contain any mutations. That it should just be for querying data from the database.
Yeah, I mean that's a point of disagreement. Okay.
What is the database we're using here? The rewards database?
We're using the rewards database and we're using GitHub.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if you look here, what we have in the current configuration, we have a mix of tables.
Hey, so Jim, guys, can I interrupt with a kind of basic question? The purpose of this is to keep the tables as SQL or to migrate the tables to RChain nodes, or what's the RChain part of this?
Yeah, the queries correspond to directly to Rolang queries, so a mutation. So what we're developing, each node that we define here in the graph is strongly typed. Okay, and so this maps perfectly on RChain. So if we write applications using GraphQL, we'll be able to reconfigure those to run on RChain as a back end. But it's also a way for noobs to get reports and things using a query language where they combine all their information resources, whether it's SQL databases, whether it's GitHub, whether it's Facebook. Okay, they have one thing they have to know, which is GraphQL, and they can aggregate information across all their data sources.
So Jim, just to be clear, there are two different projects, and one is the stuff that we're talking about right now, where RChain blockchain is constituted as a data source, which will be accessed through GraphQL. And there's a different project which is to port or to rewrite the rewards application so that its database is not MySQL, but now RChain. Is that correct?
Yeah, replace the PHP code with Rolang. Is basically, you know, is the goal, and the same GraphQL would work with the RChain backup, RChain backend, or MySQL backend.
So, for instance, there might be a MySQL, there might be a GraphQL interface for voting. So when a member wants to vote, they see a GraphQL interface, and then the data is recorded onto RChain. Is that
correct?
Okay.
Okay, and they can use this interface directly, or you know, they can put. You know, you can put these queries into you know, your JavaScript in your browser-based app,
Sure.
or your other apps. So if you want to put something on the page, you can you know, just call the query to get that whatever it is you want, and put that in your template. Or what's supposed to be on the page. Okay, so maybe you want to share your screen, Evie, and do some, show us some queries that work.
Okay. Let me do that.
And then, depending on what others want to do, I think the next thing is to look, see if we can fix that plural table format, or look into see where you are with that. But let's just see what works first.
Okay. So this query should actually get this detail from the table. So we have outputs here for the GitHub user. So this reads from the GitHub users table in the robot.net MySQL database.
Okay, so that's reading from a SQL database that's on the same server. Where did the data come from? It was originally pulled out of GitHub?
No, the data actually came from the MySQL database on the Webmin server. If you go to the Webmin server, there's a MySQL database hosted there. So that's where it's reading the data from.
But where did the data come from before that? How did it get to our server?
I really don't know. I wasn't the one in charge of migrating the data. I just queried the data from the database on the robot.net.
Joshi, I think the data came from GitHub directly. That I think DCK's linked the reward app to GitHub.
Oh, okay. And so it came from GitHub and it got copied into the MySQL database. And now we're reading it from the MySQL database?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we also can do something like authorities. So login and last set time. So we should see something like this. So this also is coming from the authorities data. Okay, from the authorities table in the database.
What does this data mean?
Okay. This actually means the React front end, the front end application for the Bounty app can actually structure what kind of data it needs, if it needs only the login. So instead of writing widget API endpoint on the server, you now have a GraphQL server that is very dynamic. So the front end app tells the GraphQL server what it needs, and the GraphQL server gets exactly what it needs from the database.
Okay.
So whenever we actually port the Bounty app to RChain, this GraphQL server can also act as a middleware between our front end and the back end.
Okay, cool. So I'm trying to just understand the big picture idea here. So this thing can like I get that it's giving us, well, what part did you write, I guess is my first question. You wrote this front end here that we're looking at in the browser, or you wrote the part that glues it to MySQL, or both?
Yeah, I wrote the part that glues it to my SQL.
Okay,
This is
got
the
it.
GraphQL playground, more like a test environment. So these queries are actually supposed to come from the React front end application.
Is that what we were just looking at?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, there's two main, you know, there's main pieces that he's using here. One is GraphQL editor interface that we're looking at, and the other is the SQLize. And it's a matter of configuring, creating the types for the nodes that link the database together with the graph. And if you look at the table, okay, we have a login, we have a rating, we have a last set term in the authorities tables. This is the authorities table.
Okay.
If we view the data here, we can see that this data in the that he's displaying there comes from this database.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that was what you were asking, right, Joshi?
Yeah, that's some of it. Yeah, I'm trying to still wrap my head around the whole big picture. Like, what does this have to do with RChain? What is the same kind of stuff Alan was asking? Because I think we haven't been around for some of this. So I was just trying to get a sense of the project. Like, is this related to trying to get the bounty system over onto RChain?
Absolutely, but you know, in the shorter term, what it's mostly about is about enhancements to the bounty dashboard and creating self-sovereign apps that let us access the bounty system.
Okay, gotcha.
So this is where we run into some issues. I'm getting some push from Dan on doing updates. Okay, like if you wanted to, you know, if you wanted to vote directly from the bounty dashboard, let's say, okay, I would have to do it in the MySQL database, which Dan is perfectly correct. We should not be able to do. However, we can create a GraphQL interface, okay, as part of the bounty system, an API to access the bounty system that does the same capabilities-based security that Dan demands. And if we're using capability-based security, I'm sure Dan will allow us to do it. I mean, we're only going to allow the person to vote if they, you know, if they are
actually authorized to make those votes.
Right, and essentially it comes from the same code that the app uses. Okay. To make the same determination. We're not reinventing.
Can I say something?
Sure.
So in essence, we're trying to say that the GraphQL should be able to make mutations to the SQL server. If that's the reason, then and I think it's cool. But if that's not the basic reason, and because I thought that initially when the dashboard was built, we could get the XML data from the bounty dashboard directly to the from the reward app directly to the dashboard. So is the only reason for this GraphQL data? Is it just to get mutation, or is there any other reason for that?
Well, I mean, you know, for all kinds of reporting, okay, it enables us to create any kind of report very simply. You know, XML data we get from a lot of stuff, and we can use that for reporting. There's a lot of things we don't get XML for. There's a lot of complex queries that getting things, you know, from an XML dump is good. It would be better if it was JSON, and it would be better if the interface to it was a GraphQL interface. There's no reason why it can't be that we can't access the XML data via a GraphQL interface. It makes it much easier for us to figure out how and where to get the data we want.
Okay, so the GraphQL, that really is just a query language. I use GraphQL to say, hey, server, tell me about whatever. And then the server answers in regular old JSON or XML or however it was going to answer anyway.
No, just like SQL is not just for queries. It's the same as it's a database language that's database independent. Okay,
Yeah,
there are native GraphQL databases. But
sure. I guess what I'm saying though by query language is like when GraphQL is used for a person to make a request of the server to say, hey server, give me some data or do something on my behalf, right?
Well, there's 4 operations that we have.
Yeah. I have a decent sense of that, but I don't want to lose track of my question here because I think this is going to help with a little bit of understanding. Does the server ever give GraphQL to me, or do I only give GraphQL to the server?
You give GraphQL to the server.
Okay, cool. So like on the right pane of what you're showing now, that's the server's answer, but that's not GraphQL. That's just JSON.
Yes, it gives all its results in JSON.
Okay, got it.
It's queries, mutations, subscriptions, and fragments if we figure out what they are.
Oh, I get. So what's a subscription?
It's like you want to know if some value changes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can subscribe to changes in a value of some.
And so then the server notifies you even without you asking for it?
Any kind of event. Yeah, anything you're going to do a callback. Okay, anytime, if you're going to do a callback on some event.
Okay. Interesting.
But, you get, basically you're specifying, the JSON you want to get back in the callback when an event happens.
Okay, cool. Good. Thanks for that tour.
I did have a couple of questions. Just about the GraphQL playground. So you know how we have the different, I suppose, queries we can bring up, if you like. In the example before, you got GitHub users, login, name, email. Are they purely based off a table, or are they defined in a schema somewhere?
Yeah, there's a schema. I'm not sure why we're not hearing. It looks like we lost EB again.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. GraphQL, like you write a schema, or you call it they call this the kind of what they call it, but it's schema, normal API, you call it a schema. So write a schema that communicates with the SQL data and get it out of it. So that's how it works.
All right, so all of these have actually been defined.
So I didn't get you.
No, I was just wondering whether you had to actually manually define them or if you kind of pulled them from a table.
Okay, yeah, you have to actually define the kind of schema. Like in the front end, let me say for example, on the schema, I say that I want to query my username, my email, and my password. But in the front end, I can actually say I want to just get only my emails out. So I can write a query that gives out email. So it's very dynamic, unlike a REST API that is quite static and gives all the data out. GraphQL can manipulate data based on how you want it on the front end.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we look at the repository, okay, we can see the code here. I didn't look what's down here, but if we look at the db.js, we can see that he's using the tool Sequelize that helps relate a relational database or a SQL database to GraphQL, but you still have to define the types. So you do a new Sequelize here and you give the name of the database, and then you put the config user and config password in here, which are in the config file, which are not in, it's not in GitHub, but we do have it on robot.net. We have, so we defined the admin settings database, which we can see as the, where is it? MySQL database server. Oh, okay, so we have the exterface in there. We have a mid settings database. It's the first one here. And we see it has an ID and a pay period here, integer and a date. And we have the current pay period, which is a Sequelized date type, and it doesn't allow a no value. And we would see that from the table definition. Okay, so this is in essence how it connects the how it can, it's programming, but it's it's simple configuration. But all of the tables specify a mapping to a node, and that becomes a strongly typed node in GraphQL.
Yeah, that answers my question, which leads me to the second one. So seeing as like there's so many different things you could request as part of something, do we have any documentation anywhere as to like what you can request, similar to the GitHub Explorer?
I missed that question.
And I was just thinking, if you were like using this for the first time, right? I mean, whether you would or not is a different question. Is there any documentation anywhere to tell you what you can actually request? Like, because you can request an issue, but as part of that issue, the name of the issue, the number, all that sort of stuff? Or is that sort of a work in progress?
Well, the interface gives you a lot of help, and I think it can even give us more help if we configure it, to give us more help. But just like when you start here and it tells you what you can start with, okay, and you can choose, whoops, what I did here, pretty fly.
We're not seeing your screen, Jim.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Control Z. I don't know what I'm doing here. So this interface, if we hit Control Tab here, it tells us what we can put. We hit Control Tab again, and it doesn't tell me anything. I don't know why it put that in there, but we put a bracket. Okay, and now we get the choices here. Okay, so if we go into admin settings, okay, we can look into admin settings and we can say, okay, we can get the ID. and we can get the current pay period.
Yeah, I see what you mean by it being quite helpful. But the point I was wondering about is, say, for example, with what we did just there, we knew we wanted pay period, but to get there, you have to go through the tree. And while most people would understand they want the pay period, they may not understand you have to go through admin settings and ID to get it, kind of thing. So I was wondering, is it written anywhere else so people can find what they want to then actually put it in as a query and retrieve it?
Yeah, well, this is the GraphQL, and if you have a GraphQL server, you're going to put it in that form. I mean, in terms of the user interface, it could be /admin settings /ID. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
He's not asking about the syntax. He's saying how is someone supposed to know what data is available?
Yeah, I mean, do you mind if I steal that screen share from you briefly? If we were, for example, to take the GitHub examples, this is us, right? And then go to this. On GitHub, you have a documentation explorer. And if I wanted to find out, let's say, what I can do with that, I can hit issue. It will give me basically everything, what I can actually use as part of an issue, in terms of, well, what information I want. Or just anything I need, I can search for it. What have I done? Again, just thinking about like author. While this isn't exactly filtered, it means as Joe Blogs, who's never used the software before, I would be able to, it's using issues probably, I would be able to find what I wanted faster than otherwise. Because it is somewhere in here that it actually does have the, I can't remember, I looked at this quite a while ago. Somewhere in this, it does actually tell you how the string order, so what belongs to what and what is accessible from what. So my question basically is there any plan to implement something similar so that people can actually figure out where they need to go?
Yeah, there is support for documentation, and I haven't looked into it deeply yet, but I think we probably will want to use a documentation tool, and a lot of the documentation can be generated directly from the code. In the meantime, we have to look at the code, which you look at the structure here and you say, okay, what can I query? Okay, it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty easy to look at the code here. I mean, to look at it and see, what the tables are, what the values are. And such. So the schema defs.js that lays out the schema.
Yeah.
But yes, we do want a documentation tool that exposes this to the user. Although in many cases, it's not the end user that's going to actually see these. It's like we use GraphQL to access GitHub in the Bounty dashboard, but the users don't see it.
Very true.
Well, the way I see this tool evolving is, oh, I didn't share my screen, did I? Did I share my screen? No, I didn't. This is the schema defs.js. And it shows the tables. It shows what's in the tables. It's pretty simple to know what's where and what's available, generally. for you to use in your reports. And you can use the Schema Editor here to create your queries, and then you just copy and paste them into your JavaScript, either in the browser or on the server side.
Sweet.
But what I would want to add to this would be an ability to dynamically create queries and save them and restore, have them written to a file. And so that we, create useful queries, we cooperate on them, and we reuse them. And you may save them from this interface and then execute them from a program. So we lost EB again. I don't know if we want to look at, since I don't know exactly where he's up to, I think we should probably work on this now without him here. Did we lose Joshi also?
Yeah, I think we did lose him.
That's too bad. Well, the hour is almost up. We could work. We have the bounties for the month. I wish Joshi was still here to talk about. I did want to meet with Owen sometime, but I think we can do that one-on-one on using Google Docs. See how we're doing with those for the translation.
And Jim.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you short. I think we're quite successful with what we wanted to achieve on the rewards test. Now both the logo and the fab icon are working properly.
All right.
Yeah, you could go on now.
Okay, let's see, where do I have that open?
Welcome back, Josh.
Hey, thanks. Sorry, I got my Wi-Fi dropped.
Okay.
Okay, we were just, we had looked at the schema def here, and which outlines what the tables are, what's in them, so that we have a good idea of what kind of queries we can make. And then we just mentioned that we would want to enhance this so that we could save queries and reuse them, and use them in our just basically copy and paste them into our programs, or access them by file name in our programs to create reports and such. David was just reporting that he got the rewards test. Okay, this came up. There was a problem before. It came into issue rather than came up into status rather than issue, and now status is gone. Huh? I'm not sure what that was, but okay. And of course, we can't see it here because I have too many tabs open. Let me just.
Also, you might need to share your screen again.
Oh.
If you want, we could view it on my browser.
Okay, well, here the fave icon is not working.
No, this is for the rewards app. We've not deployed this here yet. You need to check rewards-test.
Oh, that's where I thought I was. Sorry about that. Okay, here we're still coming up with a status column first. And I don't know what that is or why we're getting that. This is supposedly the same thing we have in production, but it's not. And we can see we have the fave icon at the top and we have the logo here. Those are the two things that we fixed today.
Those are
All right.
Those changes.
You know, did you did you push those changes?
You mean to prod?
Yeah.
Yeah, not yet, not yet.
You want to show folks how you do that?
It depends on if they're interested in doing that now.
Well, we are over the hour. I mean, we could always get back to that. I think everyone here needs to know how they can make updates to files and then push the results back up. But I guess we're not going through the whole thing. You already have cloned the repository and all that stuff. I guess what the other thing we started to mention was the bounties for July. And I guess Joshi will be on a statement of work starting in August.
Yeah, it started already, actually.
Started already.
Yeah, mostly for getting started stuff, the Rolang tutorial and a little bit about how to install our node and stuff like that. A marketing team.
So how do we handle your bounties for?
So I think I don't need any, probably is the easiest way, right? Like they're subsidizing at least 1 hour a week for me to be here. So I think whatever contributions I make don't have to come from bounties.
So that applies to the whole month of July?
Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with that. I kept my hours if you want to look at them, but you know, with the statement of work actually started like July 23rd, so I'm pretty comfortable with just bounties.
Okay. Yeah, that could be a conflict. So we can reduce our budgets.
Yeah, I don't think you have to pay me from bounties. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's awesome. Okay, so is there so if we do need people to vote on the issues, and we do like people to vote on their own bounties, their own reward. Now, we may need to budget some issues. I don't know. David, do you want to look at our budgeting and see if it's okay, or? I
didn't hear you said.
Oh, you want to check out our see where take a look at what needs to be done to complete our bounty payments for the month. We have 3 more days to complete all bounty payments for the month. Now, I've voted for some budgets. I voted for some rewards, I think, but I think mainly on the video. The other ones we have to make sure we have our budget set.
I think the ones that are remaining are the community staging environments. You only entered a budget for that. There is no yet rewards pool for that. Then the arrow node and peer learning, and the dashboard, the bounty dashboard. I think these 3 are still pending.
Yeah, could you
Then,
make your votes? Make all your votes, please.
okay, you mean right now?
Not right now, but you know, maybe by tomorrow.
Okay, but I'll be waiting for you first to enter your vote so that I could use yours as a guide to vote.
Yeah, well, I was waiting for you to put it in yours so I could use yours as a guide.
Okay, I didn't know that actually. I was thinking you were supposed to be the guide. Well, it's fine if I should vote first. There's no problem then.
Yeah, and you know,
We need sealed voting here or something where we can vote and then reveal later.
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, I'm not very worried about if votes aren't exactly the same. Like if Dan comes in and votes something very different, just don't care. Okay. You know, I mean, if he has good, you know, I mean, yeah, we have to consider his concerns, but as long as we're voting what we think is fair, we don't care what other people think is fair. Everybody has different values, but I think that, you know, because we trust each other to some extent, you know, we go by what, what we vote is weighted by what people we trust voted, and it's all about, you know, being, you know, fairness. And I do like to see a work product. I do like to see reporting in the issue. So, you know, people.
Okay, so you still talking? Okay.
No, that's okay. You know, I'm just saying that, you know, there's a number of things that go into it. How do I think that if people vote for themselves, it makes my job a lot easier. I still have to look to see if there was participation, you know, and some kind of reporting and some work product. But
okay, so
coaching, you know, coaching is something we can do separately for the R node. A little bit conflicted as to how to bill for the R node work, and I think that, you know, people who led, you know, shared their screen and went through the process. I think we can pay them under the work, the peer work study issue. We just need to. I just have no idea what kind of budget we would need for that. unless unless somebody starts voting and we have a place to vote.
So, Jim, what does someone have to do to be able to vote?
Well, when they go into the bounty system, they need to have done at least once. They need to have they need to have to log in, and then at least once verified co-op membership. I've already done it, so it won't do anything here.
I believe I've done that. I was having a hard time voting the other day, though.
Okay, I think it's primarily because you're not a certified voter yet.
That's what I wondered. Yeah. I mean, I would feel comfortable starting to estimate, like, you know, what some of our work is worth here. I don't know that I have the rights or how to get them, though.
Well,
yeah. So
okay, when you vote on an issue, okay, if you don't see add a vote here, it's because you're not logged in, and it logs you out randomly. So you have to log in. And
I even tried to cut out that phase by going straight to rewards.rchain.coop. It wasn't quite as self-explanatory as I thought it might be, I guess.
Yeah, well, in any case, then you get the button, new budget votes.
Well, okay, but I guess what I'm telling you is I don't know how to get to what you're at right now.
You want to share your screen?
Can I try to help a little bit here?
Yeah, Alan, we can barely hear you, though.
Is this better now?
Yeah.
Okay, so Joshy, Jim, basically, in order to vote, so it's a weighted voting system. There are 3 levels of weights. There's level, they're called apprentice, journey, era, and master. The weights are 1, 3, and 7. In order to vote, you need to be certified, and let's not talk about the certification process right this second, but people become certified and then they can vote. The application.
Wait a second, Alan. Anyone can vote. It's just that they don't get any. Their vote doesn't add weight.
Okay, so it's a weighted voting system, and Jim says that everybody is automatically assigned a weight of 0. I believe that that's not the case, but that's something that can be verified or may have changed or whatever. But
I always insist that people vote. You know.
So let's see. Like, I don't know. What do? I click on one of these. I just want to go through it because then I feel like I can help by start breaking this voting blockage. You know, like if I'll start to vote and then people will.
Exactly. So here's what you have to do, Josh. It's a little bit clunky right now.
Okay.
Jim, actually, in Colab, there's a slightly better interface. They can show you that later.
Yeah, I know that one. I've started to use it.
If you go up to search issue.
Okay.
And click advanced.
You're muted, Alan. Well, guys, what was one of our numbers here?
You're muted, Alan.
Instead of searching for the issue number, Josh, instead of the issue number,
guys,
community staging or staging. Just don't use the advanced search. Just use the normal, hide the advanced search, and yeah.
Okay, great. So you got that. And now if you pull down, there's a tab that says more. Up at the top, it says more.
You have to enter a budget vote first before.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So this is where I get stuck, I guess, is what I'm telling you. Like, I'm happy to do whatever I can to help, but I don't know what to do. Like, I got to click on something?
You have to enter a budget.
Okay.
Click on the budget vote.
This one?
Yes. Yeah, so you have to enter a budget vote first before going over to the rewards vote. Because it needs a minimum of 300 votes for either the budget vote or the reward vote to count.
Okay, so I would go like here, new budget vote, right?
Yes.
And then I just enter some amount and I click save.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to remind myself what this issue was about, how do I just have to go separately back to like github.com/RChain/.
If you want to view the issue in GitHub. Okay.
What
Yeah.
was that?
You can get to it from the bounty system. You click the first tab.
This one?
Yeah, you click on the issue. Okay, and then where it has the issue number there under details, click on that. Click on the number. Yeah, there. What happened?
I don't know.
All right.
Oh,
There we go. Okay, all right, cool. I'm starting to get this. So then after I enter a budget vote, then I can enter rewards votes.
Yes.
And what does this budget tab do?
that shows you what the current budget is.
Okay,
Okay, like in this case, it's not. It's there is no budget because there's only one vote, but it shows the preliminary.
understood. Okay. So I fully agree with you guys that we need to make our interface able to do the voting. This is a terrible interface.
Right. Yes.
Right? Yeah. All right, okay. All right, cool. That helps a ton. I feel like I know at least many of the projects well enough that I'm happy to vote there. I don't know if I'm certified or whatever, but I guess you'll at least see them, you're saying?
Well, you can click users at the top. Okay, and
Is it you want to check your certification?
Yeah.
The easiest way to do that is to go to rewards for Josh. Okay, since you're already there.
Okay.
and
Yeah, then click on certified. Certified by.
Yeah, I think Jim and I had certified you when you first started up.
Got it. Yeah, this
Check
seems
your rating.
familiar.
Check rating. Okay. I really don't know how this how Dan worked this the whole trust rating, but the logic to it is hard to figure out because there are some persons that they've been voted only once, but their name appear in the rating, whereas you've received two different certifications from, I think James Carver is a master, and yet your name doesn't appear in the rating.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the logic, I don't really get the logic of how it works.
Understood. Okay,
Well-
cool. Thanks for the help there, guys.
yeah. So does somebody else want to certify him just so he has 3? I think he supposed to have 3.
Yeah, I think it's 3 that does it.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll do that now.
So Adi, you're aviation hacker?
That is me, yep.
Are you a pilot?
Yeah, I work as a flight instructor. So
Oh, really?
after this, I'm going to work to fly planes.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I'll look for updates on whether I can vote, and then I'll do
Okay.
it.
Well, go to update update the ratings now. So where's that? It's on the left side. Update all the way over on the left. All the way, yeah, over there. There's
Can't go left more.
update. What does it say? Jeez, I can't read. Update. Oh, sync. Users issues.
Got it.
Okay, trust ratings. Click. Okay, now if you go back, you should be able to see if you have any rating.
So I just certified you now, Josh.
Yeah, I see your cert for me.
So you
Thank
should-
you, David.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool. No rating yet, but maybe with time. I don't know. Okay, cool.
Interesting.
So guys, I'll keep checking back because I want to make sure people get paid what they deserve this month. But I wanted to say I'm actually going to be out of town for a little over a week on vacation here. So I'm glad I got to see you guys one last time today.
All right.
Okay, well, there's 3 more days in there, so
I'll have a phone with me at least. I can check it out from there.
so I guess we'll try to, we'll let you know if we need extra help.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'll definitely have Discord on me too. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll see you later.
All right, bye.
See you.
Have fun.
So just for my benefit, seeing as I haven't been here most of the month, what issues have we actually been working on in terms of a voting process?
Okay, Adi, probably you need to see the log notes. Maybe I could show it to you on my screen.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. So dashboard, video script, GraphQL, rewards. Oh, yeah, sweet. I'll have a read through those.
So do I still have to share it, or you?
No, I've got it open. I found what I wanted. Yeah. I just needed to scroll down a bit.
Okay.
Sweet.
Okay, so we still need to figure out budgets for these. Maybe write in the notes here. We can put in budgets, or I don't know, estimated budgets. It's going to be hard though unless people.
I think the very first thing you have to do is I'm going to do that tonight and early tomorrow morning, or it's close to midnight here already. We need to put in the issues a report of what exactly was achieved, because people like Dan having issues locating the value that was created from Colab. So we need to start bringing out our work from just the log notes and the videos to the GitHub issues, because the GitHub issues, there's not so much activities in them. So it sometimes make people question the budgets we're requesting for.
Yes. Commenting on the issues would be a good idea in terms of, yeah, we need to do it. I guess we don't have much time. So the yeah, we haven't had any comments in here in the month. Rewards. Added to table in July and experimental chatbot developed, right? I don't know if we need to say anything more about that. But,
Yes, if we could.
you know, I think if other people add comments, it would be good.
Then I think also a pointer to the log activities would also help. We could even do a copy and paste from the log straight to the GitHub issue.
Can I add something?
Sure.
I think there's like a minute that is regularly that's kept and updated regularly. I think the link should be kept on the GitHub page there, so that when you like update the documents on Google Docs, it's people can actually go there and reflect and they see the update that has been made instead of going there and commenting regularly.
Val,
Yeah.
one of the major issues we're having, not just in this issue now, but in the bounty general, is that a lot of persons don't read documents. They prefer to, they only believe that what is not on the comment section in GitHub or what is not on the GitHub is not part of the work. So what we want to do now is to try to put activities in comments on GitHub rather than in a document or in videos or in a server. So whatever it is we're doing should be pasted into the comments section. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Instead of referencing to a document.
Well, I mean, you know, the document evolves quite a bit during the day. If at the end of the day, it's like for today, we have hardly anything here yet. Nobody's written anything. I mean, once we have the whole day done, we could put the day in a comment. But, you know, collecting the information about what we did is something that has to be done in a collaborative document. Doesn't really, it isn't well suited to a GitHub comment. Now, you know, I suppose if there was one person responsible for doing that, and you know, we would have to elect somebody for some period of time to be the person who's going to do that this month or this week, whatever. That's the sociocratic election process. If we are, you know, we're running it sociocratically, but yes, we want to get this. Want to at least get the stuff and maybe pointers to the stuff. We definitely want to report in GitHub, but there's so many millions of GitHub messages. It's such a mess. It's not a good answer. Whereas here, I can just do a find in here for anything that we've worked on, and I can find it instantly. Like, how about I don't know, glitch, whatever, and you know, quickly look through all the mentions of glitch here and see find the URLs, find out what's happening. The document is very good to have. The problem with the document is people don't fill it out, and we do a lot of things that aren't in here. We have some activity that happens in Discord, and it's fine to put links to Discord and links to the document into a GitHub comment. But you know, but I think that copy, actually I did copy and paste the whole log in 1 month, and Dan complained about it.
Okay, I don't mean copying the whole log.
Yeah.
And pasting. I mean like the R node, which could take them out and paste them into the peer learning and R node tests issue. Then the activities on the staging environment, we could take them out, copy them, and paste them into the community test environment. And then the activities on dashboard, we do the same too. That's what I meant.
The other thing is we can just give a small summary and a link to the log. Now, we just mention what was done and a link to the log. Now, one of the things that you might want to, is a little bit useful, at least I find it useful, is at the very bottom of the log, I have a table of contents. So I did a file or an insert table of contents, which is already there. But you can update, you hit this little circle here, it updates the table of contents. And that allows, and there may be an easier way to do this, and that would be great. But if I wanted to get a pointer to today's log, I just right click here, copy link URL. Now I have a link right to this spot in the log. And then in GitHub, I can put in C log, and we all know Markdown, right? And,
Yeah.
and put in the link to that part, to that day's log, and then when we see that, it makes the link to the log to that day. I don't know if that's useful, but I just thought I would share that. So we have to put in budgets. Do we have to put in budgets before you can vote on rewards? I don't.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
So do we? So we have. So we have the issues, and we don't have budgets for them all. We don't have any budget for the node running guides. I think Adi went through that this screen one day, so he's entitled to some. Certainly David has been involved with that. I'm not sure what you were working on this month, Valentine.
I work on the chatbots for the dashboard.
I'm sorry?
I said the chatbots for the dashboard.
Oh, the chatbot, right, of course. Duh. Okay, so we need a budget for that. Did anyone else work on the chatbot?
I think the chatbot falls under the
Not really. I was the
bounty
only one that did
dashboard.
that.
The what? Yeah, the dashboard.
Yeah, the chatbot is it's inside the bounty dashboard issue.
Right, and then we need a budget. Okay,
Yeah.
so you know, I was just considering how we budget that, that's all. Are you gonna propose? No.
Jim, since you've got David and Andrew and Valentine, I have a different budgeting issue 755. Would it be okay to talk about that a little bit too? It's not these issues, but it's also an issue.
Okay, I get what will we put that under? The collaborative learning how to budget.
Well, you know, learning how to budget turns out to be a pretty important thing for the bounty system. It's not a trivial issue.
Yeah. Well, I was, we're focused here on Colab issues, but
Okay.
But if you want to beg for some help on your issue.
I do. So there's an issue in which we follow the collaborative, the design of computational calculi, and Valentine and Andrew and David have all worked on that. The suggestion for a budget there seemed to be a little bit high, and I was just wondering whether I or one of them could describe what's going on in that and kind of at least make them sort of on the same level playing field as the stuff that you're doing in Colab, because they're both kind of similar issues. Does that make sense?
Sure, especially if they're involved and they're here, then it's very appropriate.
Okay, so we've got 3 of the 4 people on one of the teams in 755. And do you guys want to introduce what they suggested? A total budget for this month for what they've done. I guess Andrew got scared and left or something, but just kidding. So,
Okay, Alan.
Yeah, David.
Alan, can I? So okay, you said one of us should do an introduction to the study, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. So actually, what we've been working on, it started in June. We started working on the design of computational calculi using Greg's RChain educational series as a guide, and also Jake's work study on Fridays. So this month we had 2 sub teams, I and Noni Cool, then Valentine and eBay Softs on another team. So we worked on different aspects of computational calculus. So that's why we had to divide the teams or groups into 2. So we worked on semantics, whereas the other sub-team worked on grammar reductions and models. So I think that's it for activities in July. So the document, actually, would it be okay to paste it in the link, Alan?
Sure.
Okay, so let me search for it here and paste in the link. Okay, so I just pasted the general documents where each of these documents, documents where each of these documents can be found. So maybe we could check it out.
Yes. Are you, or should we just look at it ourselves?
I'm not sure I understand what all these documents are.
So Greg has been giving a video lecture series,
Yeah.
and we've been following them within work groups. And there's a lot of work that's been done, and the question is how to value that, how to budget it.
Well,
So-
what was the actual work done? I mean, this looks like a transcript of the session. Is that what it is?
Well, a lot of
No,
it looks like, go ahead, David.
Okay, actually, they are not transcripts. They are more or less like a simplification of the lecture. So they're not direct transcripts. So we have to listen to the video carefully, make it look a little bit simple, do a little bit of more research, then add up to more logical and more simplified for a general audience.
So, you know, there looks like there's a lot of work that went into this.
Yes, there is.
So, what's the proposed budget on it?
Okay, so the proposed budget, the budget I proposed, it's 2,000 for each sub team.
Well, I mean, just looking here, it looks like they're not equally difficult. Or I don't know.
So I didn't hear that. You said?
Well, for example, the structural equivalence
Yeah, on my screen.
page is, looks pretty close to Greg's slides. Doesn't look like there was a lot of, doesn't look like there was $2,000 worth of work done in that one. Whereas
Okay.
whereas certainly the wait a second, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 documents. So it was $2,000 for what? For each document?
No, not for each document, but for each group. Alan, you're mute. Alan, you're mute.
Sorry, Jim, there are two sub-teams. So all of the documents that David is showing together is 4,000. Is that a good way of saying it, David? That's the suggested budget.
Okay. So that's probably, probably reasonable, I would think.
So Jim, you're saying that some of the documents appear to be a little bit better than others, or more informational?
Well, it's just harder to do. They're longer. They require more explanation. Uh, I just looked at the structural document, and I've seen Greg lecture on that a few times, equivalence, and it seemed to be just playing his presentation pretty much directly, and it was relatively short. That's now it may have taken some time to get some good understanding there and make sure that it was right. I'm just saying that it was probably less than $2,000 for that particular document.
It is not the documents that are $2,000, not the document itself. It's the groups that's like for instance now each group works on more than a document. So I understand exactly what you're pointing at, but if you should take a look at the other documents, so you would see that some appear to be more technical and some appear to be more robust than the others. So it's not the documents themselves that are $2,000.
Right. So what's the issue we're dealing with? I mean, this group, $4,000 seems reasonable. What's the question?
So the question is how to say that it's reasonable. In order to have it voted, in order for the community to agree on the value, not necessarily exactly, but how should this be presented? When somebody comes in and says, no, this is only worth $6, how does that get addressed?
Well, there's a lot that goes into it. Some of the guides are very much interested in the dissemination, the eyeballs. How is this? What is the benefit that comes from having done this work?
I think that's a wonderful criterion, and I would say that, if we have some expertise on designing computational calculi, that's an awesome criterion, but I don't know exactly how to measure that. So how would we say, David and Andrew learned this much or didn't learn this much? When I look at these documents, it's difficult for me to tell, what I'm learning from it, as opposed to, as you said, just lecture notes or whatever. I'm not sure that these documents really reflect the learning part. Is that?
Can I add something?
Yes.
And for the better part, this document actually, I think, like how I wrote some parts of what I wrote, it was tailored towards probably those who have probably who had the mathematics behind most of languages and the structural architecture of many languages. So I feel that it's not just for any person. The person that read document also have a knowledge of computer science to an extent so actually understand this document. So I feel that it's not just for any person in the community. I feel it for those really interested in the row calculus and the lambda calculus and how it affects Rolang in general.
Yeah, my comment was more about how is this going to be published?
I was of the opinion that when the documents are ready and they could be combined into a PDF file, I think so. Because I also of the opinion I thought that Jake proofreads it regularly when they're posted on GitHub. I think he makes correction and he comments and he does stuff. So I think after that, we could bundle it into a PDF file and publish it.
Jim, regarding your question, I think Joshi asked a similar question on the issue, and so I'll still give the same reply. Now, the first one is I think Patrick Magure, the Director of Communications, RChain, he requested that each of the documents is published on the RChain blog after we're done with proofreading and every other thing that we need to do. And also, I would want, personally, I would want to design a curriculum around it and make the materials readily available on the web to anyone who would want to access them.
Okay, so, I think that, that is being addressed in terms of how it's going to be used. Your question, Alan, about judging the learning, I'm not sure that really goes into the evaluation, but I hear you in terms of I like to reward cooperative efforts, and this was a cooperative effort of a number of people, and they exhibited cooperative behavior in developing something that was desired by the cooperative, and they invested a good deal of time and effort into delivering this, and they should certainly be compensated for their time. I know a lot of people, there are people that say that we don't reward people for time, we reward them for results. But
I think rewarding for participation is fine, and I'm looking for a way of detecting that. Josh actually made a very good suggestion, which is probably too late for this month, but we could use for next month, which is that we produce exercises exercises around some of these lectures. So exercises that could test people's understanding. Valentine, David, would that make sense? What's a good way of demonstrating either that the stuff that we're producing can help people to learn it, or that so one way would be if you design, set yourself a particular computational calculus and designed it and wrote some code. That's one way we have of knowing that something changed, something got in. Another way is maybe having questions and answers, something like that. In the course, there are not that many exercises, and the few that there are, I don't think that we've actually done them well.
Yeah, just another. I'll let Valentine go.
And the document I wrote something about some, not really exercises, but kind of some syntax that you could actually. Okay, network.
Yeah, like that.
Okay. I wrote some I wrote like some models that actually helps answer some questions.
I lost you, Valentine, but that sounds like good direction.
Not basically exercises, but they could be viewed as exercise. The exercise part is to be cool. Oh, am I speaking? Oh my goodness. Hello? Okay, I'm on.
We can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me now. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
My goodness. Okay.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you. Okay. I was of the opinion that I gave some exercises there, but I immediately answered them. I didn't really like leave it for like other users to answer. I'll read that to answer. So if we were to make exercises like more immersive, then we should actually on the blog, people would actually post their replies on the blog when they are published on the blog or on the forum. That will make it more immersive, because if you just post exercises on the document and nobody replies them, it's not going to really be helpful to anybody.
So you're suggesting that we post the blog and then ask for, give community questions and then hope that people will answer those questions on the blog.
Yeah. Yes, based on the document they've read. Yeah.
That sounds like a great idea to me.
And Alan, one thing to notice, the 2,000 is a suggested budget. Is not. I think I said this to Josh also. It's not conclusive or a fixed amount. It's just a suggestion. So if you feel the value that is created is not up to that amount, you're free to vote whatever it is, and it will follow your guide, since you're the more or less like the.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The problem that I have with that is that I think the creators, I think we should offer voters good guides so that they can feel like they're making intelligent decisions about what they're voting. And I think Jim feels the same way about Colab. What kind of voting guides can we offer that provide realistic value to the co-op and make it easy for people to describe what they've done and what it's worth? So hourly rate is that's easily measurable, and that's one way that people do it. Maybe that's a good method. I don't know. So, like, if you say that you've done $2,000 worth of work, between the two of you, I have no reason to doubt that. How do I make an informed decision about that?
Okay. Now I get your point. Okay. Probably we could add the number of hours that was spent doing them. We could give an estimate of that, because I, for one, I didn't take note of the particular amount of hours I spent into the document, so I could give an estimate. And also we could use the value that is created. At least we're getting responses from many of the participants of Greg's lecture. So I think we're making progress compared to what we did last month in June.
So the number of responses that we've gotten, are you talking about like the comments that were entered into the issue?
Yes, both including the issue and the documents themselves.
Okay. All right, so let's write that up. Jim, does that sound like, and Adi, does that sound like it's a similar metric that you would apply to the work study?
Yeah. I guess I have trouble looking at it as a metric, but certainly the fact that there was engagement and comments on the document which were addressed is something that demonstrates that there was effort and work, and there was relevance to the co-op.
Yeah, I think following on from that, the thing that probably I find, the hardest to gauge right now is the amount of effort. Like there clearly is a lot of effort just from the talking, But if you look at this document for the first time, I don't see the examples of it. And I think a really quick fix to aid that is David said you did a lot of research. Small things, even such as highlighting lines that you've added or amended and quoting your source reference, like I'm using this link. This is where I found and made this modification from, and just adding those throughout the documents, I think would start to show the level of research that's actually gone into this. Because right now I can't clearly see what was sort of the original notes versus what were the changes. Does that make sense to anyone?
It does for me.
Yes, of course. It does make sense, yeah.
Yeah, so
it does make sense.
just going through like your history, for example, on your browser and finding those sites and just adding them as comments for specific lines, I think would really help show the research element. But apart from that, I probably need to run off, so I'll leave you guys to it.
Okay, and I want to not dominate this conversation with budgeting for a different issue. So
Fair enough. I'll see you guys
All
later.
right, guys. All right, Addy. All right, Alan.
Yeah, we've gone through the second hour here. We'll just go around and see if anybody wants to see what people suggest for action items. David.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
bye.
All right, Alan. Bye.
So if you know, I guess if you know, we can connect again if you have any issues. But in the meantime, I would just say if you can put in some budgets and some rewards, that would be good. If you want me to do some specific ones, just let me know, and I'll put something in. But it often, you know, oftentimes I don't know. I may not know the effort. For example, with Valentine's work on the robot, I don't know how to gauge how much work that was. Valentine, can you characterize the effort there? You have a budget amount in mind, and you're on mute. I don't know if you can hear us, Valentine. You look frozen.
Valentine may have frozen.
Yeah, he just got blown away. Oh well. Can you work that out with them, David, and see if you can come up with an idea of what that's worth? Or do you want me to?
You mean Valentine?
Yeah, or do you? I think he. Do you want to work that out? Talk to him about that, or do you want me to handle it? How do you want to do that?
I'll work it out with Valentine.
Awesome. Anything else before we close today?
Okay. Concerning the peer learning, I think that's issue 2. Okay, I don't remember the number exactly, but I'll need you to suggest a budget for that. I may not be able to suggest one for that. I can suggest a budget for the community staging environment, and I can suggest a budget also for the robots mounted dashboard. But for the peer learning, I may not be able to suggest a budget for that.
Well, I guess we lost audio, but I know his participation last month was pretty low. He did guide in a few sessions. I'm not sure how to divide that up among the projects. Maybe we'll just give him about $200 in the peer learning. Okay, and then you have your work leading the Rolang installation stuff. And who else worked on it? I don't remember.
I think Joshy Boy is on.
Well, Joshy, we don't care about. We're not budgeting for him.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm talking about,
Okay. Sorry. One quick question. I just glanced through the documents again and realized that you placed the R node testing together with the pure learning. Like the two of them, they go together.
That's right. I mean, I don't think we can bill that under anything else except the people who help guide through the process. And I guess Donald did some of that. I think you did some of that.
Donald.
Donald,
Okay.
I cater.
Okay. I don't think I met him anytime in the Colab.
Okay, well, I suppose if we
Okay, Jim, what if we do it this way? By tomorrow, I'm going to place budgets in each of the issues. Then if you're satisfied with them, you let me know. If they are not okay by you, you also let me know that then I make changes to them. How about that?
yeah, sounds good. I guess the issue is we had participation from Brent. I don't know if his node participation should probably get something. He didn't do much, maybe $50, but he wants to set up this validation pool in Tucson, and he ran a node, and he shared some of that. Now I have sessions that aren't at the regular time with people, and I guess although we try to put it in the notes, you may not be aware of it, and a lot of times we don't put it in the notes. Okay, and we had Gary's involvement in the beginning of the month. But I don't know that he can get any reward this month. I'm just looking back through the log, and we don't always put people's names on here. But I guess that's about it. So thank you, and we'll check out tomorrow what needs to be done. Hopefully we can get the folks to vote.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, Alan.
See you guys tomorrow or later. Nice to meet you,
All right.
Owens. Hope to see more of you.